He fixed the legendary ship and discovered humanity's greatest escape. Kellen wiped the thin layer of dust from the control panel, careful not to scratch the ancient metal. The starport was silent, abandoned long ago, and the air smelled of old circuits and rust. Around him, the remnants of a civilization that had long vanished lay scattered. Broken crates, shattered tools, and faded holograms that flickered for a moment before dying. But it was the ship at the center of the hangar that held his full attention. It was enormous, taller than 3 human buildings stacked together with a hull black as midnight and smooth curves that seemed almost alive. Legends called it the Ethereal Voyager, a ship built by the greatest alien civilization the galaxy had ever known. For centuries, it had been considered lost, destroyed in some forgotten battle or hidden in the farthest reaches of the universe. Now, here it was, silent, still, and waiting. Kellen could hardly believe his luck. He was just an engineer, a tinkerer with dreams bigger than his world. Most humans were content repairing small cargo ships or maintaining outpost stations. But Kellen had always been different. Ever since he was a boy, he had been fascinated by the stars and the stories of lost technology. And now he had stumbled upon the most incredible relic the galaxy had ever known. He circled the ship, running his hands over its cold surface. Even decades of neglect had not dulled its elegance. Strange symbols were etched along the hull, glowing faintly as if the metal remembered something. Kellen had studied hundreds of alien designs, but none were like this. None responded the way this ship did. As he placed his hand on the hull, he felt a faint vibration, a pulse that matched the beat of his own heart. Impossible, he whispered to himself. The hangar was so silent that he could hear the hum in his own mind. Kellen pulled out a portable scanner and began examining the systems. Most of them were dead, but a few flickered weakly. Power cells that should have been useless still held a spark. The main interface panel, a massive console in front of the ship's cockpit, had no recognizable language. Its symbols were alien, older than any Kellen had seen, yet, strangely, a few patterns seemed familiar, as if the ship had a memory that only a human mind could unlock. He worked for hours, kneeling on the cold floor, tinkering with the panels, reconnecting wires, and adjusting circuits. Every now and then a light would flicker to life, and a small hum would ripple through the metal. He smiled, feeling the thrill of discovery. "This ship! It's alive!" he murmured. Hours turned into days. Kellen slept in the corner of the hangar, waking to work again as soon as the thin artificial sun rose over the horizon. He tried every method he knew, from simple rewiring to complex logic patterns. The aliens had built this ship for purposes humans could not fully understand, but Kellen realized that brute force and technology alone would not repair it. He needed something different. Intuition, patience, and imagination. Qualities humans often underestimated in themselves. The ship seemed to respond to him. Tiny lights blinked in sequence, thrusters vibrated slightly, and the main console hummed as if acknowledging his presence. He realized that the ship's design had hidden layers that only someone willing to think outside alien rules could discover. One evening, as he adjusted a panel deep within the cockpit, a soft voice echoed in his mind, not mechanical, not alien, but something strange and resonant. "Who wakes me?" Kellen froze. He looked around the hangar. No one was there. His hands trembled slightly as he whispered, I am Kellen. "I found you! I want to repair you." The voice hummed again, almost approvingly. "Repair, perhaps, or awaken." Few understand the difference. Kellen's heart raced. He had read legends of sentient ships, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. It was not just a machine. It was aware, and it seemed to recognize him in a way no other being had. Over the next few days, Kellen experimented carefully. He discovered that when he thought in human patterns, creative, emotional, intuitive, the ship responded more strongly. It shifted lights, hummed, and even opened panels he had not touched. He realized the truth. The ethereal Voyager was not meant for the aliens who built it. It was designed to interact with a mind like his. Word of his discovery spread slowly. Other humans from nearby outposts came to observe. Some were curious, others skeptical. "It's just an old ship," they said. "Nothing you can do will bring it back." But Kellen ignored them. The aliens, too, were intrigued. Scholars from distant systems arrived in sleek observation vessels, peering at the ship with cold curiosity. "You waste your time, human," one of them said, their tone dripping with amusement. "This relic is beyond your understanding." "Leave it to the experts." Kellen only smiled. "Maybe," he replied. "But I have something you don't. Patience and curiosity. And maybe that's enough." Each day he learned more. The ship had systems that defied logic, energy flows that did not obey known physics, symbols that changed depending on the observer, and controls that seemed to anticipate his thoughts. He worked tirelessly, often speaking aloud to help his own mind understand the patterns. Late one night he discovered the first real breakthrough. A section of the hull slid open silently, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay a small device unlike anything he had ever seen. It pulsed with light, almost like a heartbeat, and projected a faint hologram. Symbols danced across it, impossible to read at first, but Kellen studied them carefully. Slowly, a pattern emerged, one that aligned perfectly with human thought sequences. The moment he touched the device, a warm, gentle hum spread through the hangar. The ship shivered slightly as if stretching after a long sleep. Lights danced along the hull in patterns he had never commanded. He stepped back, awed. "It's alive!" he whispered again, but this time with wonder, not fear. The aliens watched silently. Some frowned, others leaned closer in disbelief. The human mind, so small, so underestimated, was achieving what their millions of years of knowledge could not. Kellen felt a strange sense of pride, not for himself, but for humanity. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Weak, fragile, primitive. But here, before ancient eyes, a human was unlocking a relic that even the greatest alien minds had failed to comprehend. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, systems came online: lights, navigation, life support. The ship's core hummed with a soft, constant vibration. Every time Kellen touched a panel, it responded. Every time he solved a puzzle, it seemed to acknowledge his effort with subtle shifts, almost like a nod. But even as he made progress, questions lingered. Why had the ship been built? Why did it respond to humans? And what did the voice mean when it said, "Few understand the difference between repair and awakening"? Kellen knew only one thing for certain. This ship was more than a relic. It was a key. A key to a story larger than humans had ever imagined. A story that might change the galaxy forever. As he lay on the cold floor one night, staring at the blinking lights of the slowly awakening ship, he whispered to himself, "I will fix you. I will find what you were meant for. And when I do, maybe humanity will finally see what we can be." And somewhere deep within the metal and circuits, the ship seemed to smile. The galaxy, Kellen realized, was about to witness something extraordinary. But for now, he had work to do, and the first steps of that journey had just begun. Kellen had not slept well for days, but he did not care. Every waking moment was spent studying the ship. Each panel he touched, each wire he adjusted, seemed to respond to him, not because he had great skill, but because he thought differently. He approached problems in ways the ancient aliens never had. The aliens had arrived quietly at first. Observation ships hovered outside the hangar, their hulls sleek and gleaming. Soon a delegation entered. Tall, elegant beings with pale skin, angular features, and eyes that reflected strange colors examined the ethereal Voyager with clinical interest. "You are wasting your time, human," one said in a voice like ice. "This ship is beyond your understanding. Leave it to those who are trained." Kellen smiled. He had expected skepticism. Alien civilizations had studied technology for millennia, relying on strict rules, rigid calculations, and history. Humans, on the other hand, had survived for thousands of years by adapting, by improvising, by seeing patterns where none seemed to exist. "I am not wasting time," he replied calmly. "I am learning." The alien's lips twisted almost in a sneer.
Learning will not repair what has been lost for 1,000,000 years. You will fail, as all humans do.
Kellen ignored them. He returned to the cockpit where the ship hummed softly under his touch. It had begun to awaken more fully now. Systems that had been dormant for centuries were flickering to life. Power conduits glowed faintly, and small screens displayed lines of alien code that no one else could read. He had begun to notice something extraordinary. The ship did not respond to brute logic, formulas, or even advanced technology. It responded to ideas, to patterns, to creativity. When Kellen approached a panel with intuition and patience, a light would blink, a mechanism would shift, and the ship would acknowledge him. The aliens watched from behind, their faces unreadable. Occasionally, one would try to interfere, pressing a button or giving a command. But when they did, the ship shivered and went silent. Only Kellen's careful, human-like approach coaxed it forward. "You see," Kellen said quietly to himself, "it's not about what you know. It's about what you can imagine." One night he discovered another breakthrough. Deep within the ship's engineering bay, a complex interface glowed faintly. It pulsed in a rhythm that seemed almost like breathing. Kellen placed his hand on it, thinking in patterns that combined logic with intuition. Slowly, the interface responded, spinning symbols in ways that seemed impossible. The aliens gasped. One of them whispered, "Impossible." The human understands what we cannot. Kellen had felt a thrill run through him. He knew then that humans were not the weak, fragile species the galaxy thought them to be. They survived, adapted, and thrived precisely because they could think differently. Word of his progress spread quickly. Other humans from nearby colonies came to see the work. Some were amazed, some worried. "You should be careful," said an older engineer, her eyes wide. "Aliens don't usually allow humans to touch relics like this. You might anger them." Kellen shook his head. "They are already here. They can watch." "Let them learn. They will see that humans are not what they believe." The days were long, filled with small victories. Kellen had figured out how to bring limited power back to the main systems. Lights along the hull now glimmered, faintly at first, then stronger with each passing day. Life support modules hummed softly. The navigation panel, which had been dead, now displayed lines of energy like a glowing river. It was slow work, but steady. And every time the aliens attempted to take over, the ship resisted. Systems would shut down, lights flickered, or panels refused to respond. It was as if the ethereal Voyager itself recognized that only a human mind could awaken it. "You are extraordinary," an alien scholar admitted one evening, voice tight with disbelief. "We have never seen a human succeed where millions of years of alien effort failed." Kellen only nodded, focused on his work. "It's not extraordinary. It's human." We survive by thinking differently, by seeing patterns you cannot, by creating solutions where there seems to be none. The aliens stared at him, then at the ship. Slowly, a hint of respect replaced the skepticism in their gaze. For Kellen, the most exciting part was not the ship itself. It was the discovery that humans had something the galaxy had overlooked. Creativity. Empathy. Imagination. It was these qualities, not sheer strength or advanced technology, that allowed them to thrive. One day, he managed to reactivate a small console near the cockpit. Symbols danced across its screen, alien characters rearranging themselves into something that resembled a language humans could understand. Slowly, he realized the ship was trying to communicate. "You awaken me," it pulsed in his mind. "Few understand the language of life. Few see beyond circuits and metal. You think differently." Kellen's heart raced. "Yes," he whispered. "I see. I want to repair you. I want to understand what you are meant for." The ship responded with a gentle vibration, a sound almost like laughter. "Repair is not enough. You must awaken. Not the vessel, but the purpose. Do you understand?" Kellen paused. He had been so focused on fixing the ship he had not considered what it was truly meant to do.
Could a human mind unlock a purpose lost for millions of years? Could he truly awaken a legend?
The aliens observed in stunned silence. They had expected humans to fail. Instead, they were witnessing something they could not explain. A human, a mere tinkerer, was teaching an ancient machine to live again. Over the next few days, Kellen worked tirelessly. He mapped the ship's energy flows, studied the glowing symbols, and experimented with intuitive commands. He discovered that the ship seemed to respond not just to thought, but to emotion. When he approached a problem with curiosity, patience, and wonder, the systems shifted and adapted. When he approached with fear, frustration, or anger, the ship resisted. It became clear. The ethereal Voyager had been waiting for a species that could combine intellect with feeling, a species capable of understanding patterns and possibilities in ways aliens never could. Humans were that species. Late one night as Kellen rested against a console, he looked at the faintly glowing hull.
You're more than just a ship, he said softly. You're a story.
And I want to know that story. A soft pulse echoed in response. The voice of the ship whispered in his mind, calm and patient.
Stories! Only the worthy can awaken them. Humans!
You are worthy. Kellen smiled, feeling a thrill unlike any other. The journey was just beginning. The aliens who had once laughed at him now watched in awe.
Perhaps the galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Perhaps, he thought, it was time they saw what humans could truly do.
And for the first time, the ethereal Voyager hummed as if it were alive, ready to reveal secrets no one had seen for millennia. Kellen leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had no idea what lay ahead, but he knew one thing. Humans had begun to awaken not just the ship, but a part of the universe that had been waiting for them. The galaxy had dismissed them as small, fragile, and weak, but here, in the quiet hum of a forgotten hangar, a human had begun to prove otherwise. The challenge was far from over, but the first victory had been won. The aliens could only watch as humans began to show their ingenuity, patience, and creativity, the very qualities that no other species in the galaxy possessed. And somewhere deep in the metal and circuits of the legendary ship, a thought stirred. Perhaps humanity was not just another species. Perhaps they were the key to something greater than anyone had ever imagined. The hangar was silent, except for the soft hum of the ethereal Voyager. Kellen stood at the cockpit, staring at the glowing panels. Every system was now partially active. Lights pulsed in rhythmic waves, energy conduits thrummed, and a faint golden glow seemed to radiate from the ship itself. For weeks, Kellen had worked tirelessly, coaxing the ancient ship to life with patience, intuition, and imagination. The aliens still lingered, watching from observation platforms, their expressions a mix of disbelief and growing respect.
None dared to touch the ship, for every attempt to control it had failed. Only a human mind could awaken it.
Kellen touched a central panel, and the ship responded immediately. Symbols swirled in front of him, forming patterns that seemed to reach into his mind. Slowly, a shape emerged, a map of the galaxy unlike any he had ever seen. Star clusters, nebulae, wormholes, and paths of travel stretched in every direction. But it was not merely a map. There were corridors, glowing lines that connected distant points in space, shimmering with energy. The ship's voice resonated in his mind, calm but deliberate.
You see the paths. Few can. The others sought control. You seek understanding. That is the difference.
Kellen's heart raced. What are these paths? He whispered. They are escape routes, the ship replied. Long ago, civilizations foresaw the collapse of galaxies, the inevitable decay of stars, and the dangers that would spread across space. Some sought to hide or to conquer.
Others built paths for survival. Few succeeded. You, human, can follow them.
Kellen stepped back. The galaxy was far larger than he had imagined. The ship had the knowledge of civilizations that no human had ever met. And the realization hit him. This was no ordinary ship. It was not a weapon, a cargo vessel, or even a machine of war. It was a seed ship, a vessel built to carry life across impossible distances to preserve civilizations that might otherwise vanish. He could feel the magnitude of the discovery pressing against his mind. The aliens who watched him must feel it too, though none would speak. The galaxy had never seen a human achieve this. The very knowledge of survival for countless species, the ultimate secrets of the universe, were unfolding through him. But why me? Kellen asked softly. Why humans? The ship's hum grew stronger, almost like laughter. Humans are unique. You survive not by strength, not by strict knowledge, but by creativity, empathy, and intuition. Others tried. They failed. You succeed because you think differently. Kellen felt a strange mix of pride and humility. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, considered weak, fragile, or even insignificant. And now, the galaxy would begin to see them in a new light. The panels shifted, revealing a series of intricate mechanisms. Your task is not simple repair, the ship said. You must awaken the purpose. Understand the corridors. Prepare for the journey. You are the key to humanity's greatest escape. Kellen studied the map. The glowing paths connected distant, uninhabited star systems. Some were within reach, but others stretched across the galaxy, impossible to reach with normal technology. Yet the ship seemed to know these paths, hidden tunnels through space that no alien civilization had mapped. This is incredible, he whispered. We could travel anywhere, escape any danger, reach any world. Not just travel, the ship corrected. Survive! Thrive! Protect. Preserve. The aliens, silent observers until now, finally spoke. One, with eyes like liquid silver, stepped forward. You have accomplished what none of our civilizations could. You see the paths as humans do. Perhaps we have underestimated you too long. Kellen did not answer. He had work to do. He began testing the ship's navigation systems, carefully inputting coordinates, following the glowing lines. The ship responded to his intuition. It adjusted, calibrated, and even corrected errors that he did not realize he had made. Slowly, a sense of motion began to fill the hangar as if the vessel were already preparing to lift off. Then, a new challenge appeared. A strange energy field pulsed around one of the navigation nodes, a barrier the aliens had been unable to penetrate. The ship's voice echoed in Kellen's mind, a test. Few can pass. Those who succeed understand not only technology, but life itself. Kellen stepped closer. He studied the field, examining the patterns. It was not just a physical barrier. It responded to thought, to understanding, to emotion. Using logic alone would fail. He closed his eyes, breathed deeply, and focused on what humans did best: imagination, empathy, and creativity. Slowly, the barrier began to shimmer. Colors shifted. Light bent. And then, with a quiet pulse, the node opened. Kellen's heart soared. The ship vibrated with approval, and the panels glowed brighter than ever. You see? The ship said. Others failed because they tried to dominate. You succeeded because you understand. This is your gift! This is humanity's path! Kellen realized then that the galaxy had never truly understood humans. Other civilizations relied on rigidity, rules, and brute power. Humans thrive by thinking differently, by taking risks, by imagining possibilities that others could not. The galaxy's greatest escape, the ship now revealed, depended not on strength but on humanity itself. For hours, Kellen explored the corridors. Each one led to new discoveries, habitable planets, resources untouched by other civilizations, safe passages through dangerous regions of space. The knowledge the ship contained was staggering. The galaxy itself seemed to stretch endlessly before him, and he felt both fear and awe. The aliens who had come to mock were now silent witnesses. One of them finally spoke. voice trembling.
We have studied the universe for millennia. We thought we understood survival.
But you, humans, you see in ways we cannot.
Perhaps you were always meant to awaken this ship. Kellen smiled faintly.
Perhaps, he said. Perhaps we were. And now, we must act.
He began preparing the ship for a more comprehensive awakening. Systems that had been dormant for centuries started responding to his commands. Thrusters engaged, life support hums stabilized. Communications modules flickered with energy. Every time he succeeded, the ship seemed to vibrate with life, acknowledging his unique understanding. It was during one of these moments, when Kellen leaned over a glowing panel, that the ship spoke again, its voice gentle but clear. You are ready to see the corridors in full. But understand, this is more than travel.
This is a chance to preserve life, to carry hope across the stars. Few species are capable. You?
Kellen's mind raced. The possibilities were endless. Humanity could explore uncharted worlds, connect scattered colonies, and ensure its survival for millennia. They could thrive where others had failed. And then, another realization struck him. The ship did not just respond to him, it responded to all humans. It had a way of detecting the essence of their species, the creativity, the empathy, the adaptability that made them unique. Any human who worked with it could unlock new potentials, new corridors.
The galaxy was no longer a place of limitation. It was a canvas waiting to be painted. The aliens finally began to speak openly.
Their skepticism had melted into awe.
Perhaps we have been blind, one said. Humans, you are the key we never expected.
Kellen nodded silently. The ship's glow filled the hangar warm and golden as if celebrating. For the first time, he felt a deep connection to the ethereal Voyager. It was not just a machine. It was a partner, a teacher, and a guide. You are more than I imagined, Kellen whispered. And I think humanity is more than the galaxy knows. The ship pulsed in agreement, and the panels displayed a new image, a projection of distant worlds, interconnected by glowing pathways. Kellen realized then that the journey ahead would not be simple. There were dangers, uncertainties, and challenges.
But the potential was limitless. Humanity could escape confinement, explore unknown galaxies, and preserve life itself.
He took a deep breath, standing tall. The hangar, the aliens, the stars beyond. It all felt smaller now compared to the possibilities the ship revealed. This is just the beginning, Kellen said. The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans, we are ready. The ethereal Voyager hummed, alive in a way no human or alien had ever experienced. It was awake, and through Kellen, it had found a mind capable of understanding its secrets. For the first time in millennia, the legendary ship had a purpose again. And humanity was about to step into a story that would change the stars forever. The hangar was filled with a golden glow, the hum of the ethereal Voyager steady and powerful. Kellen stood at the main console, taking in the ship's full awakening. Every panel, every energy conduit, every glowing symbol had come alive. It was as if the ship had been waiting, not for centuries, but for humans, specifically him, to understand its purpose. For weeks, he had coaxed it awake, patiently following patterns, listening to intuition, and combining logic with creativity. Now, the ship was not merely functional. It was alive.
The corridors of the galaxy that the ship had revealed in Part 3 stretched before him like a living map, pulsing with possibilities. Humanity had never had such a chance before. Aliens who had once mocked humans now watched in quiet awe from observation platforms. Their faces reflected disbelief and respect. They had studied the galaxy for millennia, mastering technology, strategy, and science. But a single human had unlocked the secrets they could not. Kellen felt pride, not arrogance, but a quiet certainty in humanity's potential. This is it, he whispered to the ship. Are we ready?
The ship vibrated, a soft pulse running through its hull.
You are ready.
Humans are ready. Few species can understand what must be done.
But you are capable. Kellen turned to the observing aliens. "You can watch," he said. "But understand this. This is not just a machine. It is life, knowledge, and hope."
And humanity is its key. Some aliens stepped closer, hesitant. One spoke softly. "The corridors, the paths. Humans can follow them.
But this is not just travel. It is preservation?" "Yes," Kellen replied. "Not just for us."
For everyone who needs a chance to survive, the ship is more than a vessel. It is a lifeboat for life itself. He activated the navigation systems fully, and the corridors of space lit up on the main console. Faint streams of glowing energy connected stars, planets, and galaxies. Each pathway was safe, faster, and more efficient than any route mapped by alien civilizations. The ship's AI, fully awake now, spoke directly to his mind. "Choose wisely. You may carry life, knowledge, and hope, or fail, and close the paths forever. Few have been trusted with this power."
Kellen's fingers hovered over the controls. He thought of humanity scattered across the stars, struggling on distant, harsh worlds. He thought of colonies barely surviving in frozen wastelands, outposts abandoned by their creators, and children who had never known a galaxy beyond their small skies. "We will not fail," he said firmly.
"Humanity has always survived, even against impossible odds. Now we have the chance to thrive."
The ship responded with a gentle vibration. Panels lit brighter.
Systems adjusted. Thrusters hummed with potential energy.
Kellen felt a surge of excitement and responsibility. The ship was ready, but humanity's role was just beginning. Slowly, he activated the first jump. The hangar walls shimmered as the ship projected energy fields, then slid silently upward. The ceiling gave way to the vastness of space. For the first time in centuries, the ethereal Voyager floated free, its hull gleaming in the light of distant stars. Kellen looked out through the observation dome. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him.
Nebulae glowed in purples and golds. Stars blinked like distant lanterns. And among them, faint lines of light, the corridors the ship had revealed, stretched toward unknown worlds. "This is amazing!" one of the aliens whispered.
"No species has ever traveled like this." Kellen smiled, gripping the console. "It's humanity's turn to see the universe." The ship's AI spoke, its voice calm but full of warmth. "Humans, begin your journey.
Carry life, knowledge, and hope. The corridors will guide you. You will learn, you will grow, and you will survive."
He activated the main jump drive. The corridors of glowing energy rippled and expanded, engulfing the ship. Light stretched and the stars around them blurred. In a heartbeat, the ethereal Voyager was moving faster than thought, gliding along hidden paths that no alien science had ever predicted. Kellen could feel it in his mind. The ship was alive, thinking with him, sharing his curiosity, and guiding him with a precision and understanding that no manual could teach. For the first time, he realized the truth. The galaxy had never known what humans were capable of, and now it would. As they traveled, he began broadcasting messages to humanity scattered across the stars.
"We have found a path to survival, to exploration, to hope. Gather wherever you are. The ship is coming."
Colonies received the message. Outposts lit up with excitement and disbelief.
Humans began journeying toward the ethereal Voyager, following instructions displayed by the ship. It was no longer just a vessel. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol that humanity could survive and thrive beyond imagination. Hours became days. The ship carried them through corridors of space untouched by any other species. They passed planets rich with resources, stars glowing steadily with life, and quiet systems waiting to be explored. Kellen guided the ship carefully, his mind fully linked with its AI. He could feel every vibration, every energy pulse, every potential obstacle, and then a new realization hit him. These corridors were more than survival routes. They were paths of potential. Every choice he made could create new opportunities, new worlds for humanity. The ship was teaching him not only navigation, but the responsibility of creation itself. The observing aliens were speechless. One finally spoke, voice trembling with awe.
Humans, you have not only awakened the ship, you are shaping the galaxy itself.
Kellen nodded. He felt the weight of that responsibility.
Humans had always adapted, survived, and thrived. But now they had a chance to shape not just their future, but the future of countless lives.
They reached the first cluster of habitable planets. Kellen guided the ship into orbit above a lush green world, where oceans sparkled like glass and the air shimmered with life. Humans on distant colonies watched the display feed from the ship, and for the first time they felt hope, not fear, not struggle, but pure, unbounded hope.
This is our home, one of the humans whispered. We can build, we can live, we can thrive.
Kellen smiled, feeling the joy ripple through him. The ethereal Voyager pulsed in agreement. The ship had not only carried them through space, it had carried humanity's spirit, their creativity, their courage. And now, the galaxy would see what humans were truly capable of. Days passed. More humans joined the ship, guided by the glowing corridors.
Communities formed aboard the vessel, each contributing their skills, knowledge, and imagination. The ethereal Voyager responded to them all, teaching them, guiding them, and growing with them.
And as Kellen looked out at the stars, he realized something profound. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries, seeing them as small, weak, and fragile. But humans had survived impossible odds, adapted to countless worlds, and now, through ingenuity, empathy, and imagination, they were shaping the future of countless lives.
"This is just the beginning," Kellen whispered.
We are more than survival. We are explorers, creators, guardians. And the galaxy will know us.
The ship hummed louder, as if agreeing. Light flowed through its corridors like a river, carrying humans, their hopes, and their dreams toward uncharted worlds.
In that moment, Kellen understood something the galaxy had never realized. Humanity's greatest strength was not technology, strength, or numbers. It was their mind, their creativity, their heart. They could survive, adapt, and shape the universe in ways no other species could. The ethereal Voyager lifted higher, gliding past stars, weaving through nebulae, and illuminating the dark reaches of space.
The corridors pulsed with life, carrying humanity forward. And as Kellen guided the ship, he knew this was more than escape. It was a beginning, a new chapter for humans, a story that would spread hope and wonder across the galaxy. The galaxy watched silently, in awe.
A human had awakened a legend, revealed paths no species had ever seen, and shown what it truly meant to survive, thrive, and dream. And somewhere deep in the core of the legendary ship, the voice whispered one final time, "Humans, you are worthy. The stars belong to you as much as to any. Live, explore, create."
And never forget, your greatest escape is only the beginning. Kellen smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond the ship, beyond the stars. Humanity had finally found its place in the universe. They had not only survived, they had transcended.
And as the ethereal Voyager carried them into uncharted galaxies, Kellen knew the story of humans had only just begun. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.